peaceful during the day. But at night, when the wind rattles the old windows and the silence stretches across empty fields, they can become terrifying places. Tonight, I'll be sharing with you 3 scary farmhouse stories. Whether you believe them or not, I'll let you decide. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and let's begin. I grew up in a farmhouse that had been in my family for generations. The house creaked with every step, and the barn, an old wooden structure behind the house, was something I avoided after dark. One summer night, I woke up around midnight to a sound that froze my blood. It was faint, but unmistakable, an infant crying. At first, I thought I was imagining things. My family didn't have a baby, and our nearest neighbors lived more than a mile away. But as I sat up in bed, the crying grew louder. And it was coming from the barn. I shook my dad awake. He was annoyed, but when I told him what I heard, his expression darkened. Without a word, he grabbed his flashlight and led me outside. The barn door was locked, but the moment he pushed it open, the crying stopped. Inside, the air was still, filled with the smell of old hay and dust. We searched every corner, nothing. Over the next week, the crying returned. Sometimes distant, sometimes so close, it sounded like it was right under my window. Our dogs began barking at the barn at night, hackles raised, teeth bared. One night, against my father's warning, I snuck out alone with a flashlight. As I reached the barn, the crying returned louder, desperate. My hand trembled as I opened the door. That's when the crying turned into laughter. High-pitched, distorted laughter echoing from the rafters. My flashlight flickered, and in that split second of darkness, I saw a shadow crouched in the loft. Not human, not animal, just a dark, twisted shape. I dropped the flashlight and ran. My dad never spoke of it again. Years later, we sold the farmhouse, and I never went back. But even now, sometimes when the night is still, I swear I can hear that cry in the distance. I spent one winter living with my aunt on her farmhouse after my parents went through a rough divorce. The house was small, surrounded by endless snow-covered fields. During the day, it felt quiet, almost comforting. At night, though, the silence was different. It felt heavy. The second week I was there, I woke up around 3 in the morning. Not from a sound, but from a feeling. It was that strange, primal sense that someone's eyes are on you. Slowly, I rolled over toward the window. That's when I froze. A man was standing at the edge of the field, just beyond the tree line. His figure was dark against the snow, and though I couldn't make out his face, I knew he was staring directly at my window. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, convinced I was dreaming. But he was still there, unmoving, watching. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would wake the house. I wanted to scream for my aunt, but something in me said not to, like if I made a sound, he'd know I was awake. I stayed frozen until my eyes grew heavy and exhaustion pulled me back into sleep. In the morning, I tried to brush it off as a nightmare. But when I looked outside, my stomach dropped. There were footprints, clear tracks in the snow leading from the woods, and stopping directly beneath my window. That night, I couldn't sleep. At exactly 3 o'clock, I forced myself to peek out again. He was back, same spot, same stillness, just watching. This time, I bolted from my room and woke my aunt. She rushed upstairs, but by the time she looked out, he was gone. She told me it was probably a hunter or some drunk who wandered onto the property. But the tracks in the snow told a different story. They were fresh, and they led only one way toward us. The next night, he came again. Then the night after. Always at the same time. Always in the same spot. But on the 4th night, something changed. When I checked the snow that morning, the footprints didn't stop at my window this time. They circled the house. To the porch, to the kitchen door, to the basement windows. That night, my aunt stayed awake with me. We kept the lights off, sitting by the window. At 3 sharp, he appeared again, only closer this time, halfway across the yard. My aunt whispered, "Don't move." We watched as he stood there in the snow, head tilted, staring at the house for what felt like hours. Then, slowly, he stepped backward into the woods until he vanished into the tree line. The next morning, we called the sheriff. He searched the woods, but found nothing. No camp, no tracks beyond our property line, like the man had simply vanished. My aunt told me not to worry. But that night, as I lay in bed, I swore I heard snow crunching beneath my window again. And to this day, I'll never forget that figure standing out there silent, patient, watching. When my parents bought the farmhouse, the real estate agent brushed past one detail quickly. He said the basement was unfinished and better left alone. At the time, we thought he was just warning us about how damp and creepy it was. But I learned he had left out something important. The first few weeks were quiet. The house was old but peaceful. Until one afternoon when I went down to the basement to stack some boxes. The air was colder down there, thick with the smell of damp stone. As I shifted the boxes, I noticed something odd. One wall didn't look like the others. It had wooden planks nailed across it. And when I tapped on it, the sound wasn't solid stone. It was hollow. Curiosity got the better of me. I pried off a few boards. Behind them was a narrow gap. I had to crouch low to fit through. On the other side was a hidden room. It was small, maybe 8 feet across, with a dirt floor. My flashlight beam revealed a rotting mattress, a rusted lantern, and a pile of old clothes, stiff with age. But what made my stomach turn were the walls. Deep scratches covered the stone, hundreds of them. Some long, some short, all frantic, as if someone had clawed at the rock for years. I left quickly, sealing it back up, but I couldn't stop thinking about that room. That night, I woke to a sound. It wasn't the creaks of an old house, it was sharper, scraping, like fingernails dragging slowly against wood. The sound was coming from below. The following days I heard more. Whispers echoing faintly through the floorboards. A thud against the basement door. The faint sound of something or someone breathing. I tried to tell my parents. They brushed it off as my imagination. Until one evening when my mom was doing laundry. She came upstairs pale as a ghost, swearing she heard someone whisper her name from inside the cellar. After that, my dad nailed the cellar door shut. We avoided it completely. But that didn't stop it. Some nights, I would wake up and hear the sound of footsteps pacing below us. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Other nights, I'd hear 3 knocks, always 3 echoing up from the basement. Weeks passed like this. And then one night, something happened that still haunts me. I woke to find my bedroom door open. I never leave it open. From my bed, I could see down the hall. And at the very end, the cellar door, it was open. The boards my dad had nailed in were torn away, lying scattered on the floor. The black mouth of the cellar gaped open, and from deep inside, I heard breathing. Not like before, this was closer, heavier. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I just stared as a shape slowly began to rise out of the darkness. A pale hand gripped the edge of the doorway. Fingers too thin, nails cracked and jagged. And then my parents' bedroom light flicked on. The shape vanished. The cellar door slammed shut so hard the walls shook. We moved out within the month. The farmhouse is still standing, empty. Sometimes I wonder if whoever or whatever was trapped in that hidden room is still waiting. Waiting for someone else curious enough to pull those boards away.